I think this is the video you guys all have been waiting for. Sheesh. Welcome to another video of Bav Life. That's first. Hope you all are doing well. Today, we got a video of me starting the manual swap on this car. I didn't think it would be this early that I'd be making this video, but I believe my clutch went out. I just don't want to deal with that. I'm gonna have the trans off. Might as well swap it at this point. The car got over 200,000 miles. I don't want to take a chance on any other SMG parts. I'm just gonna swap it and be done with it. So, without further ado, we'll start the swap. So, I already started taking off the intake, but that's what I'm gonna start off by doing. We're gonna remove the intake. The whole cabin air filter assembly over here, so it exposes the starter and the SMG pump. Those are the two main things that I want to get my hands on right now. And obviously SMG pump is coming out, and I just want to remove the starter. The bolts that go through the starter actually go through the trans, so those bolts gotta come out anyway, so I might as well just pull it out now. Oh, I forgot, guys. Okay, don't mind anything inside the trunk. We're gonna have to remove the negative battery terminal. There we go. Negative battery terminal removed. Alright, so far you guys saw I took this off. The airbox cover, the actual airbox, whatever. I took the cabin air filter out. So right now we got 4 of these. I believe they are T30 Torx bolts. So I'm going to take that out so I can remove this whole cover right here, and we can get access to the back of this manifold. So far I took this off the intake manifold. I took this elbow off. There was an elbow right here that comes to this air box. I took it off. I removed that whole assembly for the cabin air filter, and then I took this off right here. Took this cable off, power terminal there, just to push this back a bit. I removed this, it's like a vacuum line here, another, one of those lines right here on the manifold. And next step, probably gonna be removing these hose clamps. If you do, I did the starter on this, and I didn't use the original hose clamps again. I just used these. There's a certain way you gotta position them so that this actuator rod for the throttle bodies does not make contact with the hoses. That's not going to be good. If you've never taken the intake manifold off, you're going to have those original clamps. There's a tool that you can use to remove them. If not, what I just did was I just took side cutters and just cut them all. To be honest, I knew I was going to replace them anyway. So, alright, a few minutes later, we got the intake manifold off, and here we got the SMG pump. I'm gonna start removing those 4 lines right there that are on it. Those are hydraulic lines, I believe, for like the accumulator and stuff, and the slave, all the other connections that help actuate the this transmission. So I'm just gonna take all of that off, and then, like I said, while I'm at it, the starter's gonna come out. In the process, you're gonna want to cover these. I'm gonna go get some tape now and do it. There it is. I got the starter out of there, and we got a bolt that comes out here in the back of the bell housing, and a bolt that comes out down here. And you remove them. They are Torx bolts. I'm not too sure if they were E10 or E12. I just used a 10mm ratcheting wrench, and I was able to get them off. It's easier to fit that back here by these coolant lines and stuff. And I got the SMG pump disconnected. There's plugs on the SMG pump I got off right here. So the wiring harness. There's a couple more plugs there, but majority of the rest of the stuff I have to do is from under the transmission. So we got 4 lines though up here. 4 hydraulic lines up here that went into the pump. I took them all off. They're all disconnected, and the pump's basically loose. a 10mm down there that you had to remove. You have to take 10mm out of there. Yeah, right there. As for up here, took the starter out, got the SMG pump loose, took the lines off, get some of the plugs. My job's basically done up here, so now it's trying to lift the car and go from under. As you guys can see, I'm gonna get some light down here in a second, but the whole exhaust is off. So I took the exhaust off from right here, the header section back, all in one piece. I disconnected a bunch of connectors for, I guess, some of the stuff for the SMG, like the slave for the SMG. And this was on the back of the pump, the back side of the pump. You actually gotta go through here to access that, but I'm gonna show you right now with the light. Okay, so you can see over here, I got some of the plugs up here. Here's the lines for SMG right here, all unclipped from the car. I removed the pump, so the pump is a bit tricky if you don't have the right tools. Pump is right up here, this area right here, and right there, as you can see, that mounting point right here, I'm touching with the flashlight, has a 10mm bolt that holds the pump in from the underside. So after you remove the starter and everything from the top, I'll bolt the 10mm. The front side of the pump is a 10mm here. Right there. You remove that and the pump comes straight up after all these connections are disconnected. And on the bottom side, you gotta remove this connector right here. It's like a big round connector that goes on the back of it. You can see right there, I unplugged some things from the transmission. I also unplugged all these from the transmission. I unplugged the slave right up there. I say pretty much everything from the transmission is disconnected. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the fluid in the transmission, and then on top of that I'm going to remove that slave up there just so we have a little more access to some of the bolts when we're removing the whole transmission. There's the slave right there. Alright, so to drain the fluid, you just got to remove the 17mm right here. It's the drain bolt for the transmission. Oh, that was dirty. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sayonara.
Oh, look at this throwout bearing. Oh my god. Change your clutch on time, kids. Oh, let's try. Let's get this out.
Are you gonna miss this trans, sir?
It was fun while it lasted. Well, guess what? we never used to post SMG memes on the Bavarian channel because this car had SMG. Now, posting memes every day. Get this out of here. Yeah, alright. Keep kicking him, keep kicking him. So, I took all those Allen bolts, 6mm Allen bolts, they go all around this flywheel. Pull that off, and then the flywheel and clutch should come off. Sheesh, dude. Oh, stuck on thing. Gonna get all of it. Oh, there we go. So we got the clutch disc, and we got the pressure plate. Alright, so I just wanted to show you guys a little something. So right here, I believe this is a shift rod selector joint. Or I think this is a shift rod selector joint. Either way, this piece right here, as you can see, like when you turn the shifter like left or right, this would be mounted to the car. This back end would be mounted to the chassis. And as you turn this shifter to go into like first or second, you can see that this thing twists. Right? So that's how it selects gears. You go back into second, and then when you go into third, it straightens out and you go straight forward into third, and this comes back into fourth, straight back, and then when you go into fifth, it leans over to the right, fifth, and sixth. And on this SMG transmission here, it has the same sort of setup right here. So what you would do if you were to swap your car, technically, SMG to manual swap your car, without removing this trans, what they normally do actually is remove this whole, I believe this is like an accumulator assembly or something like that. Something that has to do with SMG, actuator, accumulator, whatever it is. you remove this whole part, and that takes this off, and then you're gonna take this piece right here from the 6-speed and actually stick it onto the SMG transmission here. And then you'd select the gears with, I mean, you get a self-centering shifter like RTD shifter or IRP shifter or something like that, something that's chassis mounted and self-centering, and you don't have to, at that point you wouldn't have to remove the trans to swap the car. I got an RTD shifter anyways, because I wanted one. I'm probably thinking about tracking the car in the future, but you know, this is an actual 6-speed and this is an actual SMG, so I'm actually swapping the trans and stuff. So we got this clutch pivot pin here that I removed from the transmission. We put a new one in. I actually got this is the one off the, I didn't get the brass one because I heard some bad reviews about the brass one. Sometimes people have a hard time like getting it to go all the way flush and stuff like that. So what I did was I got this one off the 850. It's like an actual BMW one, but they used it on the older BMWs. I don't know why they switched to this plastic stuff, but this one wasn't that bad. Usually I see that they're all like crushed and stuff. This is actually a really hard plastic. I didn't realize that, but this one wasn't really that bad. But I bought it preventative just because, you know, I don't want to have to go back in and do that. I got a new clip for it that goes around here. I'm gonna show you how that goes on. Obviously the clutch kit came with a new throwout bearing. This one wasn't that bad. The one on my previous trans though was bad, but this one's not that bad. And I thought I had a clutch fork in my garage, but I didn't. This one has some wear points. Honestly speaking, I'm just gonna send it. It is what it is, man. I thought I had one, but I guess I didn't. So just gonna use that. And we got a bunch of other parts here. We got the line going from the brake fluid reservoir to the master cylinder on the clutch pedal. We got a clutch stop right here. We got the line coming out of the firewall right here. I think this goes from the master cylinder to one of the lines going towards the slave cylinder. Clutch switch wiring and the actual clutch switch right here. And boxes of stuff. We got a RTD shifter, but
Show me that.
oh, okay. So we got RTD shifter, as you guys can see. I got the raw aluminum body with the red knob. This is not Delrin. This is actual like aluminum. So it's aluminum red knob. And also got the DSSR. Goes right here into the trans, and I mount that to the body. That's gonna save me from having to, and here's hardware also that they give you with the kit. So it's gonna save me from having to get the shifter arm bracket and actually mounting like, or welding in or riveting in the shifter arm bracket to the car so I can use the OEM shifter. Maybe later on, if I ever get tired of this. I don't think I will, because like I said, I'm like thinking of tracking the car, so that's one of the things that I did want to get was a self-centering shift knob or something. And it's pretty affordable too, so that's why I went with that. I got a new slave cylinder, brand new sacks. It's like OEM material. A new master cylinder. And the pedals that I actually got, the pedal box that I got, actually came with a master cylinder on it. Didn't look too old, but I'm gonna, obviously, like I said, I bought new stuff because I don't want to have to go back in and change like little things like this. So, brand new master cylinder. And then we got clutch kit right here. So we got new throwout bearing, as you can see, all ready to go. And then we got the clutch and a pressure plate. My flywheel actually wasn't that bad. It wasn't bad at all, so I'm not going to be replacing that. But as you can see, the main failure point actually of my car wasn't the actual clutch. So you guys can see here, this clutch is worn down. I mean, I don't know how badly it had to be replaced. But I was getting, what was happening with my car was I was getting a whining sound, and it started turning into like some grinding. And as you can see, when we pulled the trans down, it was actually the throwout bearing that you know, grenaded itself, and that's what was bad. But anyways, you see a brand new clutch. You can see the materials like the same. You know, it wasn't really like, this wasn't really too spanked. So, anyways, got a new clutch, new pressure plate, ready to go in. So, I mean, I have other things too. I had to change my thermostat, so when I'm done with this whole thing, I'm gonna change the thermostat. I got a cabin air filter, little things here and there that the car didn't need, and that's about it. So we got 11 millimeter here, wrench, put it here 17, and you loosen this. I mean, my trans came with like a sleeve and like this hose and everything, so I mean, obviously your trans might not come with this, so you're gonna have to buy this hose. I believe I still bought this hose and this connection to the sleeve here, but we'll see. There we go. Take this line off, and then you can take this off. Take this out, and then I need a 13 millimeter. 13 millimeter. Remove these two bolts, these two nuts. Excuse me. There's one here, and there's one down here. I don't know if you're getting that. You might want to see. I bought all this new stuff here. So I got this hose right here, this elbow. I'll actually, in the description, I'll try to put all like the part numbers and stuff that I like, the pieces that I bought, because this is a little confusing with these hoses, and I mean the hoses and these lines that you have to use that you have to route for the slave and the master and all that stuff. I got a bunch of lines and stuff, so I'm gonna put all that in the description. But this is the slave right here, and then there's this little bracket right here. So this goes here to hold this line in place with this little clip. So what happens is this clip, this is a brand new clip I bought, this goes around this end like this, like so. See? Like that. You're gonna take this bracket right here. You're probably gonna have to buy this bracket if you didn't have a trans that came with it. My trans came with this, I got lucky. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the end that doesn't have the clip and screw it into the sleeve. So you're gonna screw it in like this. Obviously I'm gonna tighten that down, and then this goes through the bracket, and the clip sits on the bracket like this, like so. Okay, so the sleeve goes in like this, and you see the two studs on the transmission. You want to make sure that these line up like that. And now to put this on, so you're gonna put this bracket on like this, like so. What I would do is take one of these nuts that were on there and start threading it on, hand threading it on, just so the slave doesn't move. I'll actually take both. You might as well just do both right now. I'm gonna put this clip on here, like so. So I'm gonna bend this a little just to get the clip here. This is gonna go like that. You're gonna start threading this on, and this clip is gonna work as like a barrier. It's gonna work against this line, so it's just gonna hold it in place. You need that clip for this to work properly. If you're familiar with BMW brake lines too, they have like a similar setup to this. So there we go. And then I just gotta tighten that down and tighten everything else down. But this is how it's essentially gonna look. And this is gonna go to this line that I'm actually gonna show you probably later. This is gonna go through the firewall, and you're gonna connect this part of the line in here, like so. And this goes to the master cylinder. So that's how that all works. But we'll show you that after. Right now I'm just kind of like refreshing some things on the transmission. I'm laughing hysterically, guys, because look, you gonna see this dirt? Yes, sir. Garbage. So this goes on top of this like this. I'm not even gonna put it on because it's trash. And then what you want to do is you want to take this back and take it off like that, right? And then you can pop this off, and then there's a plug here for the for this intensity, or I think this is called Drive Logic or something like that. Drive Logic system. And take that off. So we got two of these right here, and we remove them from right here. These two holes. Need a Phillips head screwdriver. Then this comes out, and then what you want to do is unplug your window controls. Unplug the window controls on both sides. And there we go. this panel's out. And so here, it looks like, from what I see, there's another plug right here that I just pulled out. That goes to, it looks like, this shift actuator, whatever it is. And we got another plug right here. This one, you press that down and then you pull this forward. It's one of those slide clip plugs. Comes out, that also goes to this. Now, this is gonna have to come off. Or it's at least gonna have to come up because there's two bolts back here. They're gonna be kind of tough to get to. They look, well, nuts. So there's one nut here. So it looks like a 10mm, 10mm, and a 10mm, and this should come straight out. Man, we're missing everything right now, but I use these two pry tools. You want to get like plastic trim tools to remove this climate control panel and unplug it. So you just want to pry on the sides here and evenly on both sides until it pops out. And here we go, it's right here. Take the plugs out, kind of stick that back there. And you can see up here, there's two more Phillips head screwdrivers. That's gonna allow you to remove, I'm pretty sure, this whole panel right here.
I'm gonna put it in fourth.
Bro, this is garbage. Oh man. Alright, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have Demir actually get me a 10mm with the ratcheting, electric ratchet, and extension. There's another 10mm right here. And there's one more in this spot right here. And I'm really trying to do this without removing this whole panel because it's already a pain in the butt. And this whole thing should come straight out. Right there. Goodbye, SMG.
Throw it out.
Trash? Don't call me for that. Yes, sir, bro. Fine. Yes, sir, bro. Yes, sir. $16 mil. Well. So I removed the seat because I'm able to like lean here like this. Makes it a lot easier when you're working under here. You can't really see anything on the seats here. I mean, unless you're like a really small person.
No disrespect though, obviously.
Yeah, which we're not. I mean, it's over 6 feet over here. Alright, so that's out.
Buddy, stop looking at other E46s. Hey, you gotta concentrate on yours.
Alright, so I put the new clutch switch on this new master cylinder that I have. And you need this, because this holds the master cylinder hook right here to the pedal assembly. Right. This master cylinder, you want to make sure that this goes in here. And there's this clip that you actually have to buy that goes into this hole, and it'll hold the master cylinder to the clutch pedal, right, like this. I put the clutch switch on there also. I did not put the wiring on there yet, but the clutch switch is on there. So I gotta mount it to the master cylinder. So what this is gonna do is now we can stretch out the master cylinder, and it won't line up until you push this pedal down. Nice.
Here we are, under the car. Trying to put on this clutch back on. Enlighten us, sir.
This is the only alignment you're gonna get. Right. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm talking about right now. So we'll be back when I know what I'm talking about. All right. So I got the clutch disc in, and the alignment tool in the middle. And I'm gonna put this pressure plate on top of it. You got a lock in the middle. What you want to do is you want to put this over the pressure plate like so. I mean over the clutch like so. And this, I guess, holds the clutch centered while you put this pressure plate on. So I'm just gonna get these screws and screw these in, and we'll be back when I'm done screwing these in. Tar everywhere. Yo, bro, you know how long this thing lasts? Bro, this is definitely from 2003. We got this pressure plate on. We got the clutch on. I use this alignment tool, but honestly, guys, this was pointless. Like, hold up. I got the alignment tool in place. Problem is, every time I pull the alignment tool out, the clutch falls down. I don't know. So, I guess we're just gonna wing it, see if this transmission goes on.
That stuff.
Cooling's coming out.
No, show it!
Oh, shit. Oh, yo.
Yeah, I got you back.
You did good though. Just like
Yeah, you saw
bro.
that. We just lifted this trans up and put it back onto the engine. Just a pain in the ass. So I thought I didn't need a trans jack. I'm like, no, whatever, forget it. I'm not gonna use a trans jack. But honestly speaking, I think it's worth the money. Probably would have made this a lot easier because the trans jack holds the whole tranny. You could kind of play with it. But we got it in, so that's all that matters. We got it in. Right now, I'm gonna start lining up bolts to put the bolts on, and then bolt this back to the body. After if we can get that done today, we're gonna focus on cutting a hole for the shifter, and then we can worry about everything else after the lines and all that shit. But as for right now, hopefully we can get this trans in. I'm gonna do the wiring for this manual swap. So I bought these online from FCP Euro. Yeah, they have the pins that go right into these connectors. That go into the DME and the EWS modules. Just to save the hassle of actually trying to repin a wire. For the price, you might as well just buy these. So I bought 2 of them. You're really supposed to use wire cutters, but use scissors and just kind of cut off the other end. The end that you're not going to use. I don't have wire cutters right now on me, so I'm just going to take this lighter. You want to burn the end of the wire like this. So it's like charred almost. And then you'll be able to pull it off like that. And I already did that to this wire right here. You can see they're both like that, and then on the other end, they have the pins. Alright, so if you're doing this, you should have ordered this right here. And this goes into the clutch switch. This is the wiring for the clutch switch. So what you're gonna do here is start off by cutting off these, because you're not gonna use them. The connectors here, you can cut them off because they're basically pointless. So this end goes into the clutch switch itself, so you're gonna want to keep that. So here we got 4 wires. This brown and black wire is actually a ground that goes into the brake light switch. We're gonna use these to connect this to the brake light switch. That's the ground, and this is also power source here. This purple and yellow is a 12-volt power source for the clutch switch. You're gonna get that from the brake light switch also. And then we got blue and it looks like brown, a blue and brown wire. This goes to pin 20 in the DME. This also, you're gonna want to make sure you do this if you do want cruise control. I believe that's what it's for. This is after you code your car, obviously, to get the cruise control to work. And then there's a blue and black wire. This blue and black wire is for pin 8 in the EWS module. So for the brake light switch stuff, we're gonna use the splice connectors here. For the 2 that are going into the DME and into the EWS, we're gonna actually put these that I got on. So I'm gonna do that first. I got the soldering iron out and everything. There I got exposed wire now. This is the brown and blue wire. This is the one that goes to pin 20 in the DME. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these. Because I'm here by myself, kind of, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the soldering iron. Guys, I bought the soldering iron off of Amazon. Works pretty well. And all the soldering material off of Amazon, so you don't need to buy any like crazy special stuff. But what I'll do since I'm here by myself is I'll, you know, turn on the iron and just let it heat up a bit, and actually take my soldering material and just kind of melt it onto the iron. Melt all the material onto the iron, and then now that it's melted onto the iron, there's a little material right there. What you want to do is turn on the iron again, let this warm up, and apply the soldering material right to the wire. Okay, so by applying the soldering material to the wire now, what I'm able to do is take my wire. So this is the blue and brown wire. I'm able to take my wire and just kind of put these together like so. We got the solder on, and the wires are soldered together pretty strong, as you can see. And I got some heat shrink. Gonna take my heat shrink right here, like so. And we're gonna put it over this wire and right onto where we made this repair, or whatever you want to call it. And then you take a lighter, obviously it's heat shrink, and you just go across it. And this step right here is very crucial. The reason why it's crucial is because you just don't want any moisture or anything getting in there where you made the repair. I'm also going to do this step with the black and blue. That goes to the EWS. Just there we go. So now we got two of the pins for the EWS module and the DME. These two, like I said, the brown is for the clutch, the brake light switch, and the purple and yellow is for the 12-volt power signal. So we're gonna head inside the car and check all that out. I did the quick splice. So I got the purple and yellow wire from the clutch switch up there. Oh, let me turn this up. So as you can see, the clutch switch is right here. Inside of my cylinder. And you can see that I got the purple and yellow wire running all the way up, spliced into the other purple and yellow wire on the, right here is the brake switch, brake light switch, whatever you want to call it. You pull this connector out, and then you get to work with the quick connect, or the quick splices, whatever you want to call it. I already have my pedal mounted also. So there's my cylinder. Here, I didn't take this line off because there's a line that comes out this firewall into this. I didn't take that off. Up here, you guys can see that white clip. Oh. So that white clip holds this master cylinder to the clutch pedal. You need that white clip. I suggest getting a new one. I got a assembly already that came with one clutch pedal assembly, but I can't find it right now. Don't forget the spring. There's like a return spring to the pedal. And also, one last thing, when you guys are mounting this pedal, make sure, see that clip? You want to make sure that right when you slide the pedal onto that rod right there, you just want to make sure that you guys have the bushings. There's like some circle cut bushings, and make sure that this pedal don't move left to right. So just want to make sure that that's in there. And I got the master cylinder mounted up. You see the nuts on the back. That's like a bracket, and the bolts are going through that. Let's get to pinning these into the EWS and the DME. Alright, so back to this wiring. I had some stuff to do. It's later in the nighttime, so what you want to do is, I have my ECU completely unplugged. I'm actually going to plug it back in just to show you what's going on. But right here, if you have an SMG car, you have this module right here. It's gray. All the plugs that go to it are also the same color, like gray. You want to pull those plugs out. You want to take this relay out right here. Like that. Pulls right out. It's the salmon relay. Yeah, just don't take that out. And then you want to pull this SMG module out. I have it all unplugged. I think I'm just going to take it out just because you don't really need all that in the car. Yeah, so I'm just going to pull this SMG module out, and I'll get back to you guys. We got this ECU here. I'm going to plug this in, and then I'm going to show you after I plug it in where this wire is connected to the back of the fuse box, where this is going. We got this connector right here. We have, this is the DME. This is where you're going to find your car's computer. We have 1 plug, 2 plug, 3 plugs, 4 plugs. So from the left, you're going to want to take out the 1, 2, 3, the 4th plug, which is this one right here. It looks like this. Has this like swing arm that allows you to click it into place and everything. What we're going to want to do is find pin 20 to put this pin in. And this is going to help my cruise control work after it's coated. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'm going to take this connector apart, and then I'll show you guys after. There's like a clip right here. You want to pull that clip down towards you, and then pull this out. So you can see right here on the connector, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but it says 19 through 24. We want to go to pin 20. According to this, pin 20 is right here. That's 19, and this will be 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So pin 20 is right there. So I'm taking this out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the back of this connector and make sure pin 20 comes right out there. So I have the pin for the DME right here, and you want to make sure that the clip side is out and that this goes straight up and in. So I just got to make some space and put this through. Alright, so I finally got it in, and I pressed it up, and now it's inside the connector here. Fix up all the wiring after, but here we go. We got pin 20 in, and now it goes right back in the connector here, like so. Alright, then what we'll do is we'll just plug that in. Well, let me open up the here, and we'll plug this in like that, like so, and there we go. So that's good, and then we'll just plug up the rest of the DME, and now the wiring is done. Make sure everything is in. Alright, and should be good to go.
We in this E46 doing some work, but I know you see the.
You guys see this hole right here? I just removed this cover. The SMG cars, there's a cover there that covers it, and you're gonna take this line right here, this pipe, and fish this through the body, through that hole. It's probably gonna be a little bit of a pain because the carpet is there and stuff. I just gotta see where it comes out on the other side. So I'm just gonna check that out. Yeah, I'll be back. I got this line right here. Ran through the firewall into, and it just clips right into this master cylinder right here. So this line, I'll show you the other end. The other end is right there. That's where it comes through. And this line coming from the tranny, from the slave, This lever's right there. Here's the other end. That's gonna go right into the bottom of this. Right there.
Holding. Holding? Yeah. Right. Pump. Holding. Right.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
You were on first?
That was in gear. So basically what happened was I wanted to make sure that the trans was good. I wanted to make sure the clutch install was fine and everything that's going on inside the trans, or you know, that we put together was good. So I threw the drive shaft on and I wanted to see if it went into gear. So you guys will probably see in the clip before me starting the car. So we got the car to start, but after the first start, you could see that the wheels don't move. I'm putting it into every gear and the wheels didn't move or anything like that. So what basically happened was the pressure plate was installed the wrong way, obviously by me. It was my mistake. I kind of rushed and I wasn't paying attention to where I was putting the pressure plate. So when I put it in, the pressure plate is actually sitting kind of far from where the clutch was sitting. Long story short, clutch didn't bleed right, and we ended up finding out that that's what it was. So after a day of thinking and actually speaking to a couple people that helped me out with the swap, I found out that it was the pressure plate. So I put it in the right way, and you guys will see right here, the next start was actually a lot better.
A great success!
Yes! Let's go! Whoa, whoa! Yes! Watch out! Plus I got the dogs out! Oh! Oh! Let's go, baby! Look at that cluster! Woo! Going right to Patrick Morris.
Alright guys, so I bunged everything back up here. Put the intake manifold back on, put the starter back in, all the vacuum lines and everything I put in, and strut tower brace I just gotta tighten down. Put that back on. Cabin air filter, I replaced that. I also replaced the air filter while I was in there. Did my thermostat while I was in there. And then we got under the car here. Everything's back, all the under panels. Yeah, all the under paneling. Yeah, transmission and everything is in.
See that downshift?
My overall thoughts, opinions about the swap. So obviously, like I told you guys before in like other videos that we had, I do like, you know, the 6-speed a lot better. I like manual transmission. BMW is a lot better. The SMG was just a different experience. But for just the swap, I actually like it a lot. You know, everything was done, I feel like, the right way. I got a new clutch and everything. I did the wiring right. The process, I feel like most people would say, it wasn't much different than replacing a clutch on an E46. And it was a lot easier for me because I had a manual transmission. So I felt like the process wasn't too bad. It was just kind of lengthy. But overall, I'm happy with the swap. Everything works good. The coating went great. The shifter is great. And, you know, the original clutch, obviously, there's, you know, no complaints about that. No funny sounds, nothing like that. I've already done over about 1,000 miles already. So, you know, I have been driving it a lot. I purposely been putting a lot of miles on it just so I can break in the clutch and everything like that. There were some very tough points. I felt like it was tougher for me because I did it on the ground in my driveway. You guys can make your life 10 times easier by paying someone to do it, or by also finding a lift to do it on. I didn't have access to both, so what I did was I did it myself, obviously, and it's also a learning process too. So, but for people that are thinking of doing this, I think the hardest part about doing stuff like that, everything was basically doing everything on my back. It wasn't too bad taking everything off. I'm kind of used to taking like the manifold off, taking the exhaust down, drive shaft and stuff like that. But when it got to the transmission, I noticed that a couple things that you probably get jammed up on, which a lot of people don't talk about, are things such as like the transmission bolts. They were kind of hard to get to, the ones at the top. So if you are thinking of doing this, my advice is to let the transmission drop as much as possible, tilt the motor back. If you can even jack up the motor, take off the fan clutch in the front, jack up the motor, and it'll make it 10 times easier reaching the bolts at the top, because they're kind of hard to reach if you just you know, have the motor just dangling, I mean the transmission kind of dangling there. Also bringing the transmission down, so a lot of people recommended using a transmission jack. Obviously I'm hard-headed. I didn't go do that. I didn't go buy a transmission jack. I thought, hey, like, I got 2 jacks. What do I need a transmission jack for? It's not gonna make my life that much easier, but because bringing the transmission down wasn't bad, but putting it back in was the problem. We had to go in at an angle, we had to tilt the motor back, and to put the transmission up, I needed one person to hold the bell housing, and I needed another person to hold the transmission down at the back. So it was just a hassle, and it made it so much longer just to get the transmission back up onto the motor. So if you guys are doing this, 100% get a transmission jack. I heard they're like 200 bucks at Harbor Freight. I think the 200 bucks saves you at least 30 minutes of headache and trying to put this thing back up on the motor. This, you know, made the car a lot more enjoyable to drive. I love it. Ever since I got it in the car, honestly speaking, it's been a blast. Like, I feel like I drive the car, you know, all the time, and now I'm like a lot happier in the vehicle. It was well worth it, and well worth the money also, as opposed to replacing all the SMG components and everything else that could have possibly failed in the future. So that's my opinion. If you guys also have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. We also have an Instagram at bav.life. Please follow, and do not hesitate to write us whatever advice we can give you guys. We will, but definitely don't hesitate to like follow us on Instagram and do that, or comment on the videos. We'll be, you know, 100% willing to answer anybody's question on this manual swap or anything else, BMW or E46 related.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for us today. Stay tuned, a lot more content to come. Like, share, and subscribe. Have life.
Out.